Hey, it's Todd Duncan. Welcome to the Where Success Happens podcast. I'm coming at you from my office in Newport Beach, California. And as is always the case, we endeavor to spend 30 minutes with guys and gals that are figuring out success and significance and really leveling up their business and their life. And the only goal we have is to share ideas with you that might make a difference in your life journey. So it's a delight to know that we get to spend some time today with a guy named Timothy Loss. Tim resides in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. He is a doer. He is part of our elite coaching group, and this is his second year in elite. And the thing that impressed me the most as I was just thinking about what to say as we kind of open this up before I bring Tim on is he's got a 4.99 across the board Zillow review status, which to me is just lights out stuff. And we need to learn a lot on how do we get to that 5 stars. And I think 4.99 is about as close as we can get, but hundreds of reviews. It's exciting to welcome Timothy Loss with CMG Financial. Tim, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too, Todd.
Yeah. So what's going on? We're in the month of May, and tell us what's going on. Tell us your story. Just start with something that you are excited about.
Well, it's fascinating, to hear, just to kind of hear you bring me on here. It's kind of surreal, because I've been listening and following you for a long time, and you being my mentor now, it's been pretty surreal. The success that I've had and things that I've really accomplished over the past few years. It's hard to put my finger on it, because my journey and where I came from to get to where I am, it's been one of those that there wasn't a roadmap, and so it was packing up my stuff. My wife and I moving to Charleston, not knowing anybody and not really knowing where I was going to go, and just where I've come from since then. And we're talking, within the 7 years that I've been here, being able to build a business. And, Charleston's a good old boy town, it really is. And that's what I've kind of learned from and how I was able to overcome a lot of the obstacles. And it really came down to me just outworking everybody. And so it's just the journey and the failures and just keep working. It was for everything that I would do, it would always, and I guess with life in itself, you get to a brick wall and at that point, that's where people want to stop. But if you keep pushing through that, success happens. And so I've learned that. And I learned when things get hard, you don't just stop, you just keep pushing. And so it's kind of
no, that's a good opening. I think it's remarkable to move to a city where no one, and 7 years later, you've made a lot of really great choices. You've overcome a lot of adversity. It's not easy to start a business fresh anywhere, but the fact that you guys did it and you're 7 years into it, and then to see just the trajectory, I think, in terms of moving from that work ethic and just keep powering through it. And that is huge. I think, the attitude of successful people is the better I get, the easier it gets. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to have hard, but I can tell you hard is hard when you don't know what you're doing. Hard is hard when you don't have a strategy to navigate through the difficulties. But hard is what produces diamonds, and hard is what produces a shine, and hard is what produces excellence in our life. And if it were easy, then everybody would be super happy and super successful. And it's just not. You got to make choices. You got to make decisions. You got to follow best practices, and you can never give up. You just keep getting better. And business, the better you get a business, the better business gets for you. So you're in elite. You invest a lot of money in personal growth and development. You're one of 24 people that is in our 2001 group, and last year was your first year. Talk about some of the, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of a lot of uncertainty, in the midst of a lot of change. Talk to people about what happened to you last year, and you have some really cool parts of your story that I hope you can just share, and let's see where that leads us, because it was a hard year. It was a good year in the mortgage business. Rates were super low, but it was a hard year. It was a hard year in America. It was a hard year working remotely. So Talk to us a little bit about like Timothy lost 2.0 or 3.0 or wherever you are.
So anybody in our industry probably felt, interest rates, a lot of magic happening in the world of home loans and the ability to capitalize off of a really bad time, and I mean, we're really, I don't want to say lucky, but, to be in an industry and to be able to be in a time where we're able to help so many people accomplish, saving money through refinancing and, buying houses and so forth. But, I think, we talk about this and we've talked about it in the past, and this was more of the decision in my business to really stay away from refinances. And so halfway, through the year, probably a year from now, I made the decision to stop doing refinances. Right. And so, it was more of a commitment to my partners to make sure that I hold a certain level of customer service and just to be able to, just really overpromise and be able to deliver on those expectations, So it was really just staying true to what I was able to do and just really overcompensate on an effort that people weren't able to perform with, so I can tell you a lot of people, across the country probably, worked or had the ability to be able to do the, a great amount of volume and refinances, but how much did that suffer for their referral partners who now, they're needed still. Right. And so with, it was, but what I accomplished through this and by making this decision, my business has springboarded, it's doubled. It literally has doubled. I've been able to capture more relationships because of the attention that I put onto my partners and getting new real estate agents. And, all I had to do is just return a phone call and just kind of simple.
It's so interesting and just this last part, I think it's amazing. We did a survey 17 months ago, and I think we had close to 19,000 realtors that replied to the survey. And one of the questions we ask is, what has been some of your largest frustrations with lenders as a real estate professional? And the number one thing that came out, other than making promises they couldn't keep, which addresses what you said about over-promising and over-delivering, was the idea how simple it was to simply return a phone call. And you just said to make a phone call. And, part of why we do what we do, and I think you've seen it, part of why we do what we do is to simplify and demystify what success is about. Success is not about luck. It's not about arriving at a point, even though we felt all lucky last year because rates were so low and it was pennies from heaven. But at the same time, it was a decision that you had to make to how would you go through this and how would you go through this. And to be able to, I can tell you that I probably have a handful of people that I can point to last year that said no to, and you're going to love this, non-essential refis. And I'm thinking COVID, non-essential, and it's a kind of a whacked out term. But when somebody started saying there's a lot of non-essential refis, I said, what does that mean? Well, this guy, said it's about my agents first. I got to make sure I protect them. And the essential refis are refis for any client that I have helped finance real estate previous to right now. There might be a lot of other refis coming in, but because I believe in client loyalty and client for life thinking, and I want to be present when the industry is not present for the guys and gals that trust me that refer buyers to me, I'm going to make a decision to say no to those. And for me, man, that is a badass decision for people to step up and say, you know what, I need to protect what is going to be the long game and somehow balance the short game of, revenue. And you did a good job on that. And I was really remarkably impressed when we talked months ago and you said that you had done that. So, and it paid off now, right? Because rates are leaking back up and we've got a lot of kind of lagging indicators that say the economy is starting to sputter just a little bit. I don't know what that means long term, but you can never, ever go wrong investing time in people that you want to go the distance with. And I think that's the message I want to put out there.
That's solid for sure. It was a tough decision because again, from a financial standpoint, it was, it was a decision that was paid off, so you have sacrificed then to get now. That's what I did.
Yeah. So let's talk about last year. Let's talk about, I think it'd be just cool to give everybody a perspective on what did volume look like for you last year? Where'd you come in at the end of the year? And how did we know that was a doubling effect from the year before, but you had some other metrics that were really cool, some personal and other business that you kind of ran through. Give everybody a sense of the volume you were able to help families with last year.
I did business-wise, I had 313 transactions, I think 256 of that purchase business. Volume-wise, it was about, I think, 78 million or 87 million, one of those. It was one of those. But, it was prior, I think I did 36 million the prior year, and so already year to date, I'm at 35 million this year so far year to date. So, the methods in which I am working in terms of, putting my agents first, putting my customers first, and really trying to provide a high level of service is bound. It's like the steamroll. It's like steamrolling. Everything is steamrolling now. Things are becoming easier and more fluid in terms of how things are happening. So it's just been pretty surreal.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the other thing. I don't know we talk about this before, but one of the decisions I made is to live a better quality of life. And I know that part of a lot of the successes that I've had in my business is a result of a decision to take better care of myself and better care of my health and really try to build it's hard for me to talk about. I don't like talking about myself,
No, but so, I'm gonna let me set it up then, because I none of this is about some four plan that you and I had these are organic conversations. And I think that what I would do is say to people and give you permission to share the decision to be your best physically, your best from a health standpoint. And I think everybody would agree, particularly those that haven't made that choice, that it's a strong choice that helps feed the ability to be clear and to be more balanced and to be succinct. And there's no downside to feeling good about yourself personally, which involves physically, involves the health choices. And I think those are remarkable. So I'm just going to tell you, I appreciate you feeling uncomfortable talking about it, but I think anybody that can double their business, change some habits, lose some weight, continue to look like you look today, like you're still getting, really, really dialed in and working out, and you can see it in your face and you can see it, you look successful. And, but you made some choices. And so you can talk about those if you want, or you can just say that what's the impact of running the business the right way on health. So whatever you want to do, it's just, this is it, right? We're about success, and success is about life and business working together. And so
for sure. So the part of I think about like our business and the drain that it has in our business. How does this impact us and our livelihood? The stresses that we have. And, it's the decision to lose weight. I almost lost about close to 40 pounds. I did it, in a period of 2.5 months, cutting out alcohol, stop drinking so much and really try to change the behaviors, because I needed to have that endurance and I needed to be able to, run this marathon that I'm trying to, build this big business that I'm trying to grow towards. And so I knew that my physical health had to play a part into, the success that I was going to have. And so, it was, it was life-changing for me, right? It was life-changing. What do you want to say? It was.
Yeah, no. That's all I wanted you to say. It's a decision. And, I think we all get to a point where, I remember one of my early mentors Zig Ziglar, and went on to become a very, very good friend. He's been gone for, I think, almost 9 years now. But he used to say that you gotta do a checkup from the neck up, and it all had to do with how are you thinking before you actually act. And he said that every day is a choice for personal excellence. And, all we want to do is we want to make sure that success and significance come along together. And you can be super successful, but unhappy. And you try to tie your happiness to your success, or you can be, dedicated to being in shape and being okay that might mean the business might retract a little bit. But I've always found that people that get in good mental and physical shape end up doing more business easier, more easily, with less stress. And I think that's the reason why I like it, because, we love this idea that one of the reasons we exist is to help people fall in love with their life. And you can't love your life if there's parts of your life you don't love. I mean, it's that straightforward. And so when you look in the mirror every day, when I look in the mirror every day, we see something, and that something has to be, something that ultimately we're proud of, and we know that we're feeling accomplished, and we're making the decisions to, chip away every day at the things that matter most. And let's face it, and I think I can say this for you. I know your journey. I know that in my own life, I got away from the whole health thing. And, I woke up one day and found myself like 60 pounds overweight. I'd never weighed as much as I weighed. And I just made a decision. I'm never going to do that again. And I said, I'm going back to my high school weight. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get down to that kind of physique that I had. And it took 14 months, but it was a daily decision. It was a daily decision to not put substance into my body that would compromise my intelligence or my safety, or would compromise or risk my brand. I mean, that was a conscious decision to make sure that the business conformed to my life instead of my life conforming to the business. That was a conscientious decision. So the message I would like to give to everybody watching the podcast is, or listening to it, is the idea that it all matters. You can't drop crystal balls. Your health is a crystal ball. Your relationship, if your marriage is a crystal ball. Your kids and you are a crystal ball. You just can't drop the stuff that matters most, and you still want to succeed. So it's almost counterintuitive that the less I worry about success and the more I get myself lined up, the more success happens. And you used a word, endurance. And I think that's a powerful word, endurance. Not that you just work to the exclusion of, not the endurance we're talking about. We're talking about if you want to go from 36 million to 200 million, you got to have endurance. You just got to have endurance. And you can't get that unless you're healthy. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's crazy, the direct correlation with everything that you're talking about, as far as just the mental, physical, and just the level of success that you want to have, in your business, regardless of what it is,
Yeah.
It's just it's so powerful.
So why don't you give us a little mini master class? Let's say that somebody asks you, so what did you do the first year in Elite, Tim? I mean, what were the changes that you made? So let's put the personal stuff aside, because we've addressed that. But when you attack the business and you're in a group with all these high performers, and you want to be a high performer, and you are a high performer, what's Tim's masterclass? Like, what are 2 or 3 things that you could point to last year that were game changers for you?
Sure. And I still, even to today, the leaky bucket, the leaky bucket is something that I work on every day. It's, what are the holes in our business? And so there's always something, right? There's always something that could improve. And so, it's been just an evolution of just taking just one thing that I can improve on, and then and fixing it. And so even to today, I had a conversation today with one of my assistants on reviewing CDs with my clients. So one of the things I'm having to do is I'm having to review closing disclosures with my clients, and I find myself not doing that. And so it needs to be done. And so now, I have somebody that can do that, so I'm constantly honing my business, to create, again, everything is my master plan of creating a business that, allows for a lead to come in, the process to happen without my interaction. I'm trying to grow a business here. So it's just the constant, changing of the systems and processes to facilitate that. But anyway, so the leaky bucket aspect of it is just that's one of the biggest things that if you have a business, what does your business look like, and how would you want that to facilitate and identify the holes in your business.
I want to tap into the psychology of what you just said, okay? Because I think it's profound. I don't think anybody that is in business can ever stop thinking about what Tim just said, and that is, we all have a main lane. We all have, akin to what we do professionally, a part of that should be the greatest amount of our time per day. And we should do it at the highest level of execution possible. All success that I have seen involves people doing less, better, more efficiently, and more rhythmatically. And success, therefore, then becomes like operationally fairly boring in terms of it's not sexy. It's like if I'm gonna grow a business, I have to understand the concept of manufacturing. I've got to understand that the more that I produce this, in this case, a lending experience, a positive home buying experience, borrowing experience, that should be my lane, right? And what Tim just said is I think there needs to be an aha effect. There needs to be like wow, I didn't even think that I could do that, and have somebody step in and take over disclosures, take over CDs, take over that stuff, right? And so there's always this juxtaposition of what do you really get paid to do? And what we talk about in Elite all the time is how much are you earning per hour? And I think the attitudes of anybody that realizes that there's not a limit on how much they can do. And it's not that we want to do as much as we can. We just do want to seize the potential that we have to be our best and to do business well. I still think probably 97% of the industry does too much and doesn't produce high enough results because they don't understand the dollarization between how much am I making, how much is doing this actually costing me instead of earning me. And by the way, there's probably people that could do this even better because I'm not wired for this. You went through a phase, right? And you started seeing, dude, what's not delegatable, right?
Right. The scaling aspect of our business. I mean, it's, it was the book, Not How, But Who. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but, that just takes you down the road of, how can I get things done, really through other people instead of trying to figure things out yourself. And, that the leaky bucket aspect of it, the other aspect of, it's, just really being granular with the details of your systems and processes, and constantly, that's always evolving. I'm constantly adjusting how something is being done and the method at which it's being done. I'm constantly pushing the lever. I'm trying to get more. I'm trying to get things faster. I'm trying to, I'm trying to be elite, right? So you are elite, and but that's why you are, because you have that attitude. One of the things we work on, and this is for the global podcast audience, one of the things that we work on in business is the idea of principles, right? And one of the principles that I've got our elite group working on for the first half of this year is the principle that everything can be improved. And what I want you to be thinking about when you hear that, first of all, it's irrefutable. You cannot, I can't, Tim can't, nobody can deny that there are things in my life and my business that could be improved. So the question is, do you have an attitude towards that? And so, Tim, I think you kind of do this radar scan, on a pretty consistent basis on where are the leaks, right? And part of running a great business is fixing the leaks. But the other part is once you get it kind of going the right way, how do we do that even better? And it's not because you wake up and you're never satisfied. It's just, if we're going to manufacture a beautiful home borrowing financing experience, the more of them we do, the more seamlessly we do them with the least collateral damage or negative customer experience,
the better off and probably the bigger our brand will get. And we don't make it big just to be big. We do the right thing and it becomes big. And I think that's why I love what you said at the start of our podcast, that you made a hard choice, and you're constantly vetting the operation and you're seeing things. And so I would ask, as a guy that's either 78 million or 87 million, 313 or 314 families served, give us one or two more examples, like the CD example, on just how you saw things and how you started paying attention to things as you scale, and where were the gifts?
There's a lot. Jeez. So, one of the things you talked about earlier is the time that we spend doing something, and is it our best use of time, right? So, we look at the process, and I look at what has to happen between, a client coming into our door to them, making a commitment to work with us, right? So, the idea here is, I'm trying to say this, I guess what I'm just trying to articulate this here in a way. Finding people to do the things that people do really well at, things that I don't want to do. So I've really have taken my process and I've identified what it is I like to do. And I've hired people to do the things that I'm not good at, and it's not that I don't like to do them. I'm just not good at doing them. There's doing things, that,
let me step in, because I think this is a turning point. I think I had a group of 270 business owners on a broadcast yesterday, and they control about 60 billion a year in home loans, and it's a pretty big operation that is in Canada. And what I said to these leaders, I said, the idea that you could lead by telling somebody how to get better at what they're weak at is a bad choice. And the reason is it's a bad choice because we don't want to have people spend time, energy, and lifeblood getting better at what they're weak at. There's nothing wrong with self-improvement. There's nothing wrong with assessing that I didn't do that, exactly like I probably needed to, or I maybe need to do something differently over here. I'm not talking about being okay with being weak. What I'm talking about is we are all wired in a way that we have gifts. And I did a podcast last week talking about my 23-year-old son, that when you watch somebody get in their lane and you realize that this is their gift and this is what they have as a natural gift, everybody on the planet will be more successful if you orient what you do around your gift or gifts. But if I were to tell, somebody that, you're really, really bad at data, you're really bad at creating kind of the optics and justifying this or that or anything, and that person doesn't have the DNA of numbers and, the whole idea of understanding that detail. Even me early as an originator in the old days of handwriting loan applications, I was not a good app taker. I was a good visual guy, but I was not a good app taker. And my manager said, we're gonna have Nancy actually take the apps while you talk to the borrower, because you're not good at it. And they could have made me all day long get better and get better and get better at taking apps, but it wasn't my skill set. My skill set was connecting and having a relationship and getting people confident and excited that they could trust us. That was my skill set. So what you're saying is the best list to build is the list that you're not good at, that somebody else is good at. And the cool thing I said to these owners is, do you realize that what you're not good at can be somebody else's good at job description? And it's that straightforward, right? If I can put somebody on my team that's got a gift I don't have, then we're both happier and we're both more productive. And it's a beautiful decision. So that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think just making making the decision to invest into that part of it, because I think one of the biggest scares that people have when they're trying to scale, they're trying to grow, they want to do more, is to invest in the support, trying to, hire people to come and assist them into doing something. And so that's I would say that's a really big, it's something that I had to overcome early on. The challenge of wanting to bring people on.
That we believe in this. And I think that I'm just going to take this opportunity because of what you just said. It is hard, and people have fear around making that investment. But one of the things that we do in coaching across the entire coaching organization, and we have tens of thousands of coaching hours. I can tell you right now, without any reservation, if you're listening or watching this podcast, the most important thing you can do is figure out how much do you earn per hour? What do you do in that hour that doesn't produce that revenue? And how much would it cost per hour to have somebody do that for you? And 100% of the time, I bet you can make sense of the idea it's going to cost me a whole lot less to have somebody do that than it is going to earn me more by me doing that. And if I can make $1,000 an hour and it costs me $100 an hour to have a really capable person on my team, and I make $900 in net profit per hour, that's how elite guys and gals think. And, everybody can start to dollarize how much is it actually costing me? Because if I spend an hour doing a bunch of stuff that somebody could do for $50 an hour or $25 an hour, or again, $100 an hour, I'm making money. I'm investing in team, I'm growing team, and I'm getting myself into my sweet spot, into my main lane. I think that's critical. So anyway, I just had to go off on that. So what's the, we got about 5 more minutes. What's next in Tim Loss's life, personally and business-wise? What are you excited about, and what do you have hope in?
I'm trying to get a 6-pack. Put that out there. I'm trying to get a 6-pack. So we'll see how that goes. Give me a couple months. So, we're just work-wise. I mean, geez, I think it was like what I said, 78, 87, I want to double production this year, right? I want to double production. I want to scale. I'm building a process. I'm adding people that I don't currently have. I have a hole in my bucket, which is the post-closing aspect, my customer service side of things. So I'm hiring a CFO, chief follow-up officer, right? So the person who's going to help manage the database, the person that is going to help, cultivate these leads that, while they're waiting to buy a house, they're incubating these future home buyers, they're keeping in touch with our agents, just being the glue there. And so I'm creating this process where it's this is an entry level position that is going to move into a loan officer assistant position, that is going to move into the to the loan officer position. So it's I'm creating this a means of being able to grow future business leaders in the mortgage space with this process. So that's
you never go wrong. You never go wrong improving process. 30 years ago, the hot word in business coach consulting was the word Kaizen, and it was the Japanese approach to constant and never-ending improvement, and that's what Kaizen stood for. And Toyota was one of the early adopters of what constant and never-ending improvement looks like. And it's not exhausting. It's actually very exciting that if we can get better 1% a day or 1% a week, or in a discipline we can get 10% better in a year, and there's 7 disciplines, and you get an aggregate improvement of 70%. I mean, this is the attitude, but it all starts with these micro observations, right? It's the micro observation of what am I doing that is costing me, or that is a hole in the process, or that I have the wrong person doing. And if you just have that attitude that it's process improvement, it's not process perfection, because it's never going to be perfect. But manufacturing is manufacturing. And so you have to have a process that is getting better and better and better and better. I loved watching the movie a couple of years ago, Founders, the McDonald's story. I just loved watching that, because that's all it was about, was moving things through a system to produce the speedy guarantee, not 15 minutes, but 15 seconds. I mean, I never forget that line from the movie. And that's what process improvement is. So what's your greatest joy and hope personally for the next, the rest of this year?
Greatest joy.
Besides the 6-pack.
No, yeah, I think the biggest, most important is just being able to spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
Really to be able to set boundaries with our business, and just be able to see my kids just get a little bit older, and being present for the family. That's there's nothing more important to that.
So, the thing that I would say to, everybody that watches or listens to these is that what Tim just said is a very conscientious decision. And I think the thing that's really critical is, and it's just advice to all of us, myself included, pay attention to the warning signals, and there's warning signals that are not audible, but in your heart, that I'm compromising some things that are very important to me. And, I can't keep doing this because it sends a message that even though you are my priority, the message being sent is I don't treat you like my priority. And what we don't want is we don't want to have so many moments go by or so many days go by where all of a sudden we wake up one day and we're a mile and a half away from where we used to be with our spouse or with our kids. And, having a 24 and a 23-year-old, I can tell you right now, I can't even think back to how fast 20 years went, from the time they were 4 and 2 to now. I'm just going, it's like a blink of the eye. And I think everybody knows that. And so what we do personally, putting boundaries on our business, deciding what life looks like first in the scheme of time blocking, what's my perfect day look like? What's my perfect week look like? And then to create process improvement around that, I think is the great gift. And I guess I would say, because Tim, it's been so phenomenal to watch you go through what you've gone through. You can decide, and this is again to the tens of thousands of people that listen to this, you guys can decide how you want life to go. You can decide how you want off the job to go. You can decide, you can make those decisions. We're all in charge of the decisions that we make around boundaries and boundary management. So don't let time go by. If you have a warning signal, or if you have a doubt, or if you think, man, it's like the third day this week I've gotten home an hour late, just make some corrections, because the people that matter most have to know they matter most. And if they don't, and it starts with you. I mean, I gotta really like me. It's not pride or ego. I just gotta like what I see. I gotta look in the mirror and I gotta like what I see, and I gotta feel good about me. And then I can be good with the people that matter most. And I appreciate you bringing that up. It's like, it is the challenge. And there's only 3 ways things end up. They end up better, they end up broke, or they end up unrecoverable. And broke can be fixed. Great is good, but if it breaks, and it breaks hard, it could be over, and we don't want that. So good message, man.
It's I mean, we've been in the business long enough. You've heard the story, so it's
yeah, good. Well, man, I love you, and I'm proud of you. And you shared some real nuggets with everybody in our half hour together. And I'm looking forward. I don't care whether it's 78 doubling or 87 doubling. It's going to be really fun to watch you crush through 100 million and do it right. Do it from a perspective of balance and choice and all those good things. So hats off to you, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Be well. Take care. And
you as well.
Thanks everybody for watching this. If you're a sales leader, share this with your team. If you're a mortgage professional, share it with your real estate agents. If you really want to understand the power of building a beautiful process, get as close to 5 stars as you can. Tim's at 4.99. That's pretty darn close. And you'll never be sorry for creating great customer experiences and doing it with joy and doing it profitably and doing it well. So we're always here for you at toddduncan.com. If you'd like a free coaching call, just go to toddduncan.com/coaching, and we'll show you what we can do to help you if you want to go to a new level in life and business. Okay. Thanks, Tim. Be well.
All right. Thank you.
See you.